Well, good afternoon, everybody. We have a quorum. So Nicholas said we're filming, but we're not live. And, thank you all for attending today. I'm going to call our meeting to order. Ruth, would you call the roll?
Representatives, please state your name for the record when I call the taxing district you represent. City of DeKalb,
Bill Nicholas.
DeKalb School District,
Cindy Carpenter.
DeKalb County,
Robert Miller.
DeKalb Park District, DeKalb Township,
Mary Hess.
Kish College,
Bob Johnson.
Public Member, Kish Water Reclamation District, DeKalb Public Library, DeKalb Township Road and Bridge District, DeKalb County Forest Preserve. 5 present.
Thank you. Let me at this point, before we approve the agenda, just introduce Judge Bolt, who is the Assistant City Manager, City of DeKalb.
Good afternoon, everyone. So,
I am handing over my immediate duties to Josh, and I'll still be involved, obviously. Josh will take my place. So I'll turn it over to you, and probably should appoint a temporary chair.
okay. Well, thank you. So, going back a little bit of time here, I'm not sure if Ray Munch handled these duties before. Jason Blumenthal handled some or most of them, and without a TIF administrator in place besides Bill. And I've been in the weeds for the better part of 6 months at this point. So I'm happy to have Bill's assistance, and Bill's had a very strategic 30,000-foot view of things. But we've met each other, and it seems that we've had a number of different TIF projects pass through my desk. I'm in charge of our finance staff, so I'm happy to be here and happy to answer any other questions the Joint Review Board has. I'll always have my computer in case something needs to be discussed deeper or more detailed. With that being said, I'd like to appoint a temporary chair for now, and items that require first.
We need a motion and a second.
You get a motion to appoint a temporary chair.
I move to appoint Bob Johnson as temporary chair.
Second?
I second.
Next is
Any discussion?
any discussion.
Hearing none.
I do have,
Mary Hess.
in the minutes, it says that Mr. Johnson was appointed as a permanent chair at the last meeting.
I don't know, did you understand?
I read the minutes, I'm not sure I understood exactly. I knew I was chair the last couple of meetings with this.
I don't think we actually, it may have said that, but I think I asked for the temperature.
Oh, okay.
So I have to approve those minutes.
Okay. So, hearing none, all in favor?
We have a roll call or just a voice vote? Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we'll move to the approval of the agenda. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second. I'll take a roll call vote.
All in favor.
All in favor? Okay.
Signify by saying aye.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So at this point, Josh, I think we hand over to the temporary.
Or is yours?
I think that first thing we're going to get Josh is Robert.
Yes, well, okay.
It was funny, my son one time says, years ago, what's Robert's Rules of Order? Those yours, Dad? And I says, no, there's a book.
So I said, they're my roof there.
Yeah, they're my rules in our house, but not other places. That was funny. Okay, the agenda's been approved. We have minutes distributed to us. And with the correction that's already been noted, that I was temporary chair last meeting, a permanent chair. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those no, motion carried. Public participation, doesn't look like it. Second quarter financials. Josh, I see what
Yeah, we finished our audit, the biggest news of this quarter. What I would describe here is that the external audit, SICH, they considered our city and TIF audit to have an unmodified opinion, no adjusting problems whatsoever. It's the cleanest opinion they can possibly offer to the city, and it's a compliment. How they do that is they test a couple of our prior TIF resolutions that way, and test them against our software, which they have remote access to, and are able to review what's in for orders for our software and what's in there for documentation too. Invoices, liens, other information related to following the resolution itself. So having been in charge of this and having a transition year, Bob Miller knows too, I think it's exciting that that has been the case this past year and has been the case in the past. Looking forward to more success in that way. In your agenda, there's a number of different reports. There's the project tracker, the TIF 1 income statement summary, the TIF 3 income statement summary, the original approved budgets that we approved in December of 2020 for the fiscal year 2021, a revenue and expenditure report from our software up till June 30th, and a council agenda background update regarding our fire station 1 improvements, because that was a second quarter action we took as well. So, does anyone have any questions at all on our project tracker? We've adopted this as a decent way to show what is out there still for obligations, what's been committed, what remains. I can tell you Rosenbai's project at 206 East Lincoln Highway is very close to its final occupancy permit, and I would expect that next meeting we'll be talking about that one finishing, and that will be taken off. The Egyptian Theater had a ADA compliance project that they finished through an AIP in this quarter. And that was the amount of $4,314. We've also begun our Illinois Route 38 downtown project, which that 79 you see on the page to date is most, if not all, engineering services and contract negotiations with the state of Illinois at this point. And interestingly, where we're at with that moment is the ball's in their court at the moment. We were speaking with them about east-west street that a 10-foot bike lane could be dedicated to. We've settled on that being Grove Street. They're in the final stages of approving that plan, and there was some back and forth with the city about some of the downtown stuff. City Manager Nicholas.
I'll give you the latest, fresh as yesterday.
Okay.
District engineer, the Springfield office. So there are still a couple of minor items, and one not so minor item. So the state law right now requires, it's called the Complete Streets Act. 2 years old, has not been strictly enforced until the present administration. And what it basically says is whenever an IDOT marked route, or state marked route, is to be revised in any substantial way other than just simply milling and resurfacing, that you're talking about, as in our case, going from 4 lanes to 3, that triggers the act, and the trigger is in play with us, and we were required to put a parallel bike path in if we couldn't put one on the street section itself, and we couldn't because otherwise we'd have to take out the 3rd lane as well, take it down to 2, and then you'd have a traffic snarl every day at every intersection. So we figured out how to do that in Grove Street and submitted that, and I believe that, at least from an engineering standpoint, it was accepted, but since it is considered an exception, it has to go to the politically appointed director, and he's turned it down, which is there is something of a dance here that he's going going to turn it down because it's not called out as an alternate in the law itself, but in their practice, they have found, as in our case, it would not be safe to put it in the 4-lane section that we're touching. There's no path on the east of it, or no path on the west of it, and it's a truck lane. So it really isn't safe to even dedicate an area to bicycles. So then it goes back into the staff, and then the staff make a recommendation on their own to the director that says, yes, that sounds reasonable. So we're waiting for that process to be resolved, and then we can hopefully jump in. We're obviously not going to get it started or done before Corn Fest, which is coming up here in another month. But there's time still, if we can go to bid before Corn Fest, have the contractor ready to go the day after Labor Day, hopefully get it done. Well, not hopefully, but have to get it done by the time.
Thank you.
I have just a quick question about the fire station and the airport main hangar. That's not listed on the project list? I didn't know if
No,
that
no,
is
it's
somewhere
not.
else.
Besides the Illinois Route 38 downtown, I listed those, mostly it's a private property. Illinois Route 38, because of its size, I decided that was to be on there. But if you wish, you want that to be the case on the next round?
Yeah, just like maybe the public and private, that'd be great.
Great.
Thank you.
Have you all seen the airport improvements at all, or seen photos? I think Scott had a nice photo of that on Facebook the other day. They
I
had
could maybe put some photos into the next.
Right, yeah. There was nice stonework and metal fabrication when the pilots come in. Welcome to DKB. Looks nice. It's been well received so far. Yep.
I neglected to say earlier that Gino Russo phoned in just before I arrived here. Since it's wishes to everybody to be able to attend in person or virtually today. But he said, in his words, everything looked good. He'll be working with Josh on the end of the certifications. And so that road's going to be turned.
Okay, on the agenda, we've got update on current TIF projects. Didn't get it done. I assume you've covered some of that now. Is it more to cover?
Yeah, I think we touched a little bit on that. I probably skipped ahead on you, Bob. On the TIF project spreadsheet itself, we did add a couple AIPs, 201, 203 Locust Street, Hickeys. Those are small in nature, subject to 10% reimbursement type of things, and those are parking lots. Nothing's approved yet by council, but there's a couple others in the pipeline at the moment that we expect to have on this project chapter sheet next time as well. So far as I know, I've not had any further communication yet with John Pappas regarding those other paid-to-date items that are quite large. It's my understanding that those are final occupancy permits and that we can proceed forward in reimbursement of that. City Manager.
Yeah, the McCord Tower, the old dealership,
Old State Street Motors.
State Street
Or
Motors.
4th Street Motors.
4th Street Motors.
State Street.
Yeah, State Street. 4th Street Motors is plugging along now and moving along with masonry. The two triggers for reimbursement in the original agreement, as you were saying, Josh, had to do with occupancies of the two different buildings. So at the occupancy of the first one, then there's roughly half of the remaining, and then the final payout comes at the second building's occupancy. So it's a little ways on.
And going forward, Bill did a narrative of the various projects and status.
I think we should.
Perhaps you could include a narrative for people that aren't here,
Yes.
of what's actually been done. How far along we are.
I mentioned too on TIF debt service.
Oh, just a real quick question, just kind of a stupid question. What is AIP?
That's the Architectural Improvement Program.
It's like a facade program,
Yeah,
although it's in plus, I guess.
thank you.
They're minor, there's
is 20,000, I think is the.
It's
Yeah.
actually 70, that's certain.
Well, the per project.
25.
25 per grant.
Maximum.
Yeah, maximum.
Yeah, I remember that in the last meeting, we kind of went through that program, so just want to make sure I understood what it means. Thank you.
You're welcome. I was going to say here to add that this is our last year of TIF 1, but also the debt service attached to TIF 1. So at the end of this financial year, that will be finished. That won't carry into TIF 3. TIF 3 won't carry any debt service.
So define debt service, assume you borrow money.
We borrowed some years ago.
Against the
Right.
future receipts.
And the principal interest.
So with TIP 1, I just always like to confirm when the taxing bodies have access to the EAB. That would be in the 21 tax
Yeah.
levy process, okay? Does that
Well, be 22.
It'll be what we were, so when we're doing our tax
Well-
levies for 21 and collection in 22, is
That's
that
right,
correct?
right,
Okay.
That's right.
So when we're doing levies this comes up
Yeah,
fairly
so, yes,
soon,
no, yes.
we want to make sure we're capturing that in the 2021 levy.
Exactly, it's absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we'll- yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No?
Yeah, no, we'll give you a notice,
Perfect.
you know,
Yes.
of when we're closing.
Okay.
TIF 1, that notice by statute has to go out in November, or before November.
Okay.
And then that we are closing it. It'll identify, I'm pretty sure that it was called a record about what the EAB rate was when TIF 1 was established and what it is currently. Then you'll have to adjust your levy accordingly to make sure that you capture the revenue.
So that'll have the estimated EAB of that TIF, do you think?
At the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, that depends.
It depends,
It-
yeah.
it-
Well, we know
it
it's
may-
never
it may
final.
know- I mean, you're going to have to, when you set your levy, you're going to have to know that whether, our notice by law is not required to do that, whether we do it or not, we'll have to,
Okay.
yeah, we'll have to make sure we have good numbers to do that, so,
County,
yeah,
And
yeah,
Bob can talk to his colleagues over the county.
yeah,
Trust me,
yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to him. Yeah. Do you have any questions, Bob? Okay. Bob used to work for us, so you figure we know a lot.
And Jill does that for us.
That's why I'm all of a sudden.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's a great vertical time. Luckily, we kind of had a dry run with TIF 2 when it closed.
Yes, we did. So that worked out. Actually, that did work out
Yeah.
well. There was plenty of time
Yeah.
to capture and,
Yeah,
but this is a really big.
this is a lot more,
Yeah.
so,
The big one.
Yes, we
Yeah.
want to make sure we do it right.
yeah,
Thank you.
And Gina would be useful in that process.
Absolutely,
Because we're,
yeah.
talking about certification.
Since Gino did provide some assistance with us in filing our annual TIF reports as well, and Matt put his own review on it, and that's successfully with the state at this point for all of our TIF, active TIFs, so that's finished as well, it's just information.
Just to note, the audits were clean, but I don't think Sickich didn't catch stuff that went on too.
No, they're just doing different testing, and I remember the same gentleman that head of our team addressing the council on that point, explaining the type of tests they do under
Right.
audit and under forensic audit. Forensic audit basically looks at everything, and that's what things. So doing the test, you would see that this
It looks balanced.
balance or whatever, yeah. And the bogey was the amount of money that was being transferred from the TIF to.
This audit, they tested Gerke's construction project on Grove Street, which I think was our prior project tracker, and Rosabai's project at 206. Those are the two items they tested in this past audit, and they both checked out. But I'm newer to this position under Bill, of course, and I've never once sat here and pitched that we should be reimbursed for expenses in any way, as I just consider it part of my life in TIF administration.
Well, that was an unfortunate series of occurrences.
And
You Yeah.
Well, it didn't end up in anybody's pocket, that's the good news.
Yeah,
But,
Or it doesn't seem like it did, so.
we found a way to collaboratively find a way out of this. Be great.
Okay, well, we've already covered the audit. Ready? It looks like, is there anything else for the good of the cause?
I just have a question, so when is the formal, don't we have to approve a formal report or something? Or is that after the certification process happens?
For the.
For the TIF?
The end of TIF 1, you mean?
No, I think, isn't there an annual report that gets
Oh,
filed? And
yeah.
then
That's correct.
don't we have to?
So we have one more quarter. I suppose we'll do that in at the October meeting.
Okay, yeah. Because it used to be the JRB would only meet once a year to do that,
Yes.
just exclusively.
Yeah, that by statute, that's all you have to do.
Yeah, but we're obviously doing more than that.
Yeah,
so.
we can either, we can do that in October, you can do it, we're meeting, so far, we're meeting every quarter until we decide not to, right? So, you do it third or fourth quarter or something.
I'm not sure what the statute says, how many days it
I
has to
think we'll have to do it the October
Statute
meeting.
just says once a year.
Once a year, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll have to, that's been our annual meeting.
Mhm.
And the next meeting that ends or that takes up the fourth quarter is in January, and it's too late to do a number of things that we're going to have to do, so certifying the end of the TIF 1 and the year.
It shows next meeting, October 22nd, I assume the same time, place may change. We'll decide that.
Does anybody have a problem with being here? It's just a bigger room. A few.
I think in the last year or two, the conversation after all the things that happened, that the JRB would prefer to meet more than annually and just have more updates and more awareness of what's going on and how the TIF funds are being invested.
I think actually it's easier for us to, as far as presenting the data and running the data report, to do a couple of quarters and channel them together, and it's not as transparent that way.
A little easier to digest, for sure.
And they ask timely questions. You know.
Right.
When it's over a year old, it's
Remember 6 months ago?
Yeah.
anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second. Moved and seconded. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those no. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.